Welcome back to the Friarside chat. For those of you who have not joined us on the podcast before, my name's Vince. This is Brandon. We are a couple of washed up college ball players who now we just talk about baseball because we're done playing. So now we just talk about it. And boys, there are a lot to talk about. This week, Padres signed a superstar to a long-term contract. Padres are 7-0. Never happened before. So much good stuff going on. So much to talk about.
Isn't it great to be undefeated and in second place?
Oh,
Isn't
yeah.
it?
I know.
Isn't it great?
Fantastic. Just
Freaking
fantastic.
Dodgers. Freaking Dodgers. But we're not going to let the Dodgers ruin the Padre party because
Yeah.
the Padre party got kicked off early this morning when we got to sign my favorite player on the team, Jackson Merrill.
Wow. Bold.
Bold statement. But
Yeah.
there's a why behind that.
Mhm.
Jackson Merrill might be, and I'm going to say definitely is, the most refreshing to-be star in the league.
I'll give you that.
Why, Vince? Why, Vince? Why,
Yeah,
why
why?
do you ask?
Why?
It's maybe because it's the first guy in a long time who is so team-centric in everything he does, and that is genuinely who he is. Everyone can get in the post-game press conference and be like, I'm just happy to help my team, but secretly be swinging 3-0 to hit the dinger, not
Right.
take the walk, not move the runner, care more about their stats than the W. But this guy lives it day in, day out. By all accounts, you listen to the kid talk
Yeah.
post game, you listen to his teammates talk about him. They're all saying the same thing. I've
Yep.
never seen a guy with this moxie, this makeup in his early 20s. It
I
is
know.
astonishing.
It is. 21 years old. I think he turns 22 in like a few weeks or something like that, which is just absurd. But yeah, I mean, let's look at this contract, right? So Jackson Merrill signs with the Padres for 9 years, $135 million with the potential to earn up to 200 roughly.
hmm
Unreal. And then, right, if we look at the other contracts on the team, Manny's got another 11 years. Tatis, 14. Bogey, 11. But anyways, still, he has the potential, do hopefully what he did on the Red Sox a bit. But those are, bona fide superstars, and you're just adding another one for another decade. That's quite something.
The nucleus just got stronger. I
Yeah.
mean, covalent bonds, right? Chemistry, nerd, awesome. But it's great. I mean, I think Manny hit it on the head. There's like some comfort and solidarity in being able to come to spring training every year with that core.
Yeah.
They all get along too. That's the great part. They're not clashing heads, and if they did, they wouldn't be signed to extensions and long-term deals. It's really maybe the most exciting signing that I think I've been a part of. I mean, Tatis was up there, but
Hmm.
Tatis comes with his own baggage and concerns. Even when we signed him on the extension, it was like
Yeah.
injury concerns. He hadn't
Maturity
played a full season,
concerns.
maturity concerns.
Yeah.
And that is not a shame on Tatis, but I'm just saying that's how it's different from this one,
Sure.
right? You
Sure.
feel like with Merrill, things are more buttoned up. You know what you're getting, and the ceiling still feels very high.
I think so.
Tatis, when going right, is the best player in the game. I think
Yeah.
his ceiling's still higher than Merrill's, but Merrill's just feels like, oh my gosh, it's got nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
Oh, I am excited.
I know it's kind of crazy, yeah. If you kind of think a lot of the comparisons, right? Like they both have that clutch factor. They both
Mhm.
got 5 tools. They're both shortstops now in the outfield. Like there's a lot of similarities, honestly, in their play. Like you're right, like the energy they bring, like the whole thing. So it's really, any team would die to have one of these guys. Now the Padres got two for a
Your
long
boy's
time,
got two.
plus all the other guys. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's quite crazy. I mean, should have won Rookie of the Year. We could go on. I don't know if we want to go down that
Oh
path.
my
I
gosh.
know you've
Well,
been waiting to rant.
I've been waiting to rant on this for some time. I've already touched on a lot of the notes, but here's what I'll say. Paul Skeens, I'll start it off with this. He earned Rookie of the Year. No one's mad that he got it. People are allowed to be upset that Merrill did not. And
Right.
Merrill, I think you can make a sincere argument that he was the MVP of last year. King and company have alluded to this, and I
Yeah.
believe in it. This
Yeah.
kid rejuvenated the veterans' love for the game by just watching him come to the field so early, bringing the energy he brought, and just pushing the envelope by being himself. He
Yeah.
elevated their game. On top of that, he carried us for
Yeah.
a good chunk of the season with his clutch hits and sparking rallies and straight up winning games eighth inning and later. And then he gave us the room to be able to sign extra people and boost our team.
Hmm.
I don't know of any other player in the rookie class that had as
Hmm.
big of an impact on a organization going into the playoffs as Merrill did.
Yep.
He earned a rookie of the year. But anywho, I digress. It's fun
Did
to
you see?
see
Yeah.
people go ahead. I got one last point on
I
it,
was just gonna
and
say,
it's a big one.
did you see they put up that sign like as you enter downtown San
Yes.
Diego? There's a sign that's like home of the real National League Rookie of the Year 2024 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was
It's
pretty
awesome.
funny.
It's true. But the major point and the last
Yeah.
point is
Hmm.
this. His press conference is getting a lot of recognition because of the
Hmm.
statements that he made. The reason people care so much and the reason it's going viral is because he's finally on that stage. This
Yep.
signee put his comments to light. Him not
Hmm.
caring about money and caring more about wins
Yeah.
speaks to who he is, and it's what we've been hearing for the last year. So I'm
Yeah.
so happy that people are getting to see that and appreciate him for the rock star he is. And he's very uniquely young,
Yep.
modest,
Hmm.
and just the dude.
Yeah, I think his mentality really is just like what sticks out. And we've talked about it since like the first time we started hearing some of these clips, of talking to him in the locker room, like even last year, right? Like that was the first
Hmm.
thing that stuck out. Like obviously he's got the talent like we've been talking about. But yeah, it's so rare to see that type of mental makeup, especially in a guy so young. And so I think in my mind, the dude just seems like a total like winner. Like that's the kind of, the guy that you need in a culture that's going to win. And if he can, be contagious, like you're saying, and pass it along to other guys or new guys that are coming in too, then like what he's providing on the field is obviously one thing, but then that is the immeasurable thing, I would say, is just being able to spread that mentality. So we are, needless to say, huge fans of the signing. Was not a bummer to wake up this morning to see that on the top of the news feed for sure. Very
We
stoked.
love it.
Yeah,
But what's the
let's
team that he loves
yeah,
been doing?
let's roll right into it. 7-0. And like we talked about before, it's not like it was pushover teams, right? Like the Braves at least they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. So granted, but even then, like we said, they're still a formidable team. They got some absolute studs. I thought it was really interesting. I saw right after I think we recorded the last show and like right before opening day against going up against Chris Sale, I saw a clip that was like it was in spring training. They were talking to Jackson Merrill and Cronenworth, and the question was like, who's the toughest guy you've ever faced on the mound? And this was separate, like they weren't sitting together. It was like separate instances.
Hmm.
They both said independently Chris Sale. And I was like, oh
Left
boy,
on left.
oh boy, guess who we got? Chris Sale. And they put up excellent at bats, like really good. So if it's like, I don't know, that's just another sign I feel like, and kind of showing like this team, right? Like even if you're up against the guy is the toughest, they're still gonna compete and fight and apply pressure. And that's another point I want to bring up a little bit later as we dive into what's making them so successful. But man, it's just been wild. It's been incredible.
It's awesome. We don't feel pressure. We apply it. Jackson
Oh,
Merrill
is that what
quote
he
number
said?
one.
Oh my, that's quite the quote.
No, he's got plenty of them. I mean, speaking to what you said about him and Sale, like they talked about his 2 out, 2 RBI knock against Sale. That was a big turning point for the Padres in the opener. And he
Yeah,
said something that kind of surprised me as a ball player. He goes, yeah, being down 0-2 against Chris Sale, you know, you can't be shocked by that. It's Chris Sale. So
yeah,
there's no point in being extra stressed about that. You just do what you can. And I'm like, wow, whoa. As a baseball player, that's like such a unique take on being down
yeah.
0-2 and
It is.
and not expecting to be there, but just not letting it get to you that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, again, another mature take from
Yeah,
a younger
part of the
guy.
game plan. Yeah,
The game plan. And I think what's been so cool about the Padres, let's not pretend like the Braves are dog shit. The Braves are unlucky. These
yeah.
guys have come into a freaking, what is it, a saw?
Buzzsaw. Yeah, I
A
mean
buzzsaw
Padres and
of
then the
the
Dodgers
Padres
now
and
too.
then the Dodgers. Dude, when
Yeah,
these guys end up being 500 by the end of the month and then go on to be above 500,
yeah,
no one's going to be talking about this first week.
yeah.
But it's not to diminish what the Padres have accomplished. They faced the Cy Young winning Chris Sale and took
Hmm.
him down with their first pitcher, King, not pitching well
Yeah,
that day at all.
yeah.
The bullpen picked it up and covered it.
So
The
good.
offense stepped
So good.
up and covered it. That's been the like special sauce already this year is no matter how, we will find a way.
Yep.
This team is doing the little things right and executing at a great clip. The only game I can think of where their execution was down, the other team happened to play worse, and that was in our favor.
Hmm.
So these guys are doing it. They're taking advantage of what the opponents are giving them, and they're making things happen with their will and their execution. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of interesting, like twofold, because so sweep the Braves, obviously awesome start, and then the Guardians as well, right? Like let's not forget, like I feel like people sleep on the Guardians a lot because they don't necessarily have the star power, but like this is a team that's been in the playoffs the last however many years and like makes some runs and is like well known as like one of the best pitching development systems in the league. Like that's no rollover team either. Also swept. Which is just, it's just a testament to how well the Padres are playing. I think you nailed it on the head. I think the bullpen has been absolutely insane.
Nails.
Yeah, it was like kind of like you said, King had a little bit of a rough start, didn't phase the bullpen. Bullpen came in, shoved, and has been shoving. And then almost I feel like them getting up there and getting the job done now that, King had one turn through and came up again and made another start. He was unbelievable. Like some of
Yeah.
the pitches on that guy, oh my God, like the angles
He's
that
got
he
the
can
best stuff on the
create,
roster.
it's absurd that like the arm side run that dude can create like hurts just to watch from like the
It's a wiffle
TV.
ball.
Like I don't want to be in the batter's box against that dude, to be honest with you. But I don't want to go too deep into that. But one other point I wanted to make, right? Going back to the like applying pressure thing. I think it's really interesting. Like I don't want to say the Padres aren't necessarily playing like small ball. Like I don't think that's the right word for it, but they are
Mm.
applying pressure exactly like Merrill was saying. And like I guess to elaborate a little bit more on that, it's like they are literally they're checking the boxes on all of the little things. When we talk about what are all the little things that equate to wins. I think that was a big thing. I'm sure you could attest to it too. But like when we made the transition from like high school to then play college ball, like one of the
Yep.
biggest things for sure that was harped on, right, in college was like you can still have an unbelievable day and go 0 for 4. And how do you do that, right? And at the time, you're like, what? What are you talking about? And it's like, well, guess what? You get the runner over, you get the runner in, you see a lot of pitches, you wear down the pitchers, all those things, right? And like that can equate to success. And that's exactly what the Padres are doing, right? It's like we see it. Like Tatis gets on base, you got the best bat to ball guy up next, gets him
Yep.
over. And then you've got between Machado, Bogarts, Cronenworth, Merrill, Sheets, like they just have to hit a sac fly at that point and you can
Yep.
tell with their approaches that they are doing that, but they're like getting doubles. But even if they weren't, it would still be like a sacrifice fly, still get it done. I mean, I could keep going on. Like they tried a couple times, and I think they actually pulled one off against the Guardians where first and third, like 2 outs.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Down in the count, Arise takes off with no intention of stealing second. They take advantage of a young catcher. Catcher, oh, I'm gonna try to get him out at second. Tatis is at boom, done, scores a run, easy. Meanwhile, they're trying to get him at home, and they're still safe at second. You know what I mean? Like that's
They're
just
creating opportunity.
I love that kind of baseball, and it's like there's no reason that these teams can't be doing it, and it's really refreshing to see the Padres with all the talent that they do have are still implementing all of these like fundamental applying pressure tactics. I mean, again, I could just keep going down the list, but it's just
I'm
that
gonna
kind of stuff
piggyback.
gets me fired up.
It should. It should. It's refreshing, it's cool, and it's really fun. I think those who love the game of baseball can really appreciate the nuance of not just trying to swing for the fence and, the rest of it be damned. But what I'll say is a lot of that is stemming from, and a person who deserves a ton of credit, is Schilt. The
Mhm.
management, the
Absolutely.
construction of this lineup. We're talking about Tatis getting on base and Arias, best bat to ball guy, moving him over consistently. Man, well, last year, Arias was in the leadoff. That was a managerial decision to move him around, and it's
Hmm.
paying off. They're bought in. The other part of it, too, is that these guys are running a ton. They're applying the pressure,
Yeah.
but look at what you're talking about with the first and third. I'm so glad you brought it up because it's so noticeable and it's made a huge impact. Manny Machado has 4 stolen bases.
Does he
A lot of
really?
them aren't really
What?
contested. The reason
Unbelievable.
being is it was first and third situations. I'm pretty sure Tatis was probably on first, or
Tatis
I
has
mean on third.
5.
Tatis has five. But
5,
get this.
Machado 4, Bogarts 3. Sorry. Go ahead.
Because they are worried about Tatis or company running home, they're giving Machado second.
Mhm.
And what happens when you do that? They're doing it with one out and two outs.
Yeah,
It takes away the double
double
play
play.
and it
Yep.
puts two in scoring. And we have seen singles hit after that and scoring both. It is huge to put more emphasis on this run game. I'm so excited for it. And it's not even that fast of a team. We've got some guys who can run, but
Yeah.
we aren't Miami. This is a team that is just getting it done. And
Yep.
Schilt is really implementing this buy-in culture. And a guy like Merrill, a guy like Tatis, a guy like Machado, these guys are just kind of coming around to, boy, isn't it fun to win? And
Yeah.
isn't it fun to win in different ways? Because I
Yep.
feel like at times it was, if we're not hitting the long ball, it just might not be in the cards. Or
Yep.
hey, if Tatis isn't healthy and causing havoc on the base paths, well, then we're going to have to resort to one or two other ways to win. Hope pitching's good.
Yeah.
And that's just not what we're seeing now. We're seeing a very complete, well-rounded team that seems to know to do their job, but knowing that they have more than one job, that they need
Mhm.
to be flexible in what they're asked to do. And they're just doing it. They're firing
Yeah.
on all cylinders. It's fun.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I think even just that style of play, it creates opportunities. I think you said it really well, where it's like, right, when you can turn a first and third situation into a second and third situation, and even if you get thrown out from time to time, again, you're still making them make the play, right? And it's like they're
Yep.
big leaguers, right? They should make the play, but like it's still a hard
They don't
play,
always.
right? You know what I mean? And then also too, like setting up guys who might not be the superstar guys, right? Like if your superstars are getting on base, and then we get down, further in the lineup, and then we're getting to the Haywards, you're getting to the Gurriels, Iglesias, the catchers, right? Like we don't
Yeah.
necessarily expect a ton of production necessarily out of those guys, but if you're setting them up with your meaty part of your lineup and you're getting second and third, less than two outs for those guys, guess what? It's a whole lot easier for those guys to like, oh, I just got to hit a ground ball up the middle. Oh,
Have
I
a
just got to hit
productive
a
at
deep
bat.
fly ball. Psh, I can do that. You know what I mean? Those guys are more than capable of doing that. And usually when you have that mindset where you're not, like, oh, I got to get a hit. I got to come up big here. Like that's usually when, like we said, we've been seeing like these doubles and we've been seeing Gavin Sheets going off.
Gavin Sheets, what a
You know what I
guy.
mean? I
It's been
know.
fun to see that guy going off too.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, let's talk about that a little bit, right? Like, because I know we had our skepticisms, and in the last episode of, what is this bench going to be doing, and I
Hmm.
guess to be fair, we gave thumbs up for most of it. The question marks being Gurriel and Maldonado, which I feel like are still valid takes. They've been doing fine so far.
Right.
But it has been nice to see like these guys again, they're fulfilling the role. They're doing what the team needs them to do right now, and then some. Honestly, I would say,
I was gonna say Sheets and
um,
then some. My God,
yeah,
dude
that
can't
dude
miss the
is,
barrel.
yeah, he's been insane. Let's see, was he 444? I mean, he doesn't have a lot of plate appearances, but the dude's getting it freaking done.
Yeah. First at bat as a Padre. Home
1.2
run.
OPS. I know. What a spark too, and that was much needed too, and that definitely sparked things. So, and then he had that double in the fog that was almost a grand slam. Oh my god, that
Yes.
was that was a unique visual. to
There's
saw
just so
that
many
fog in
things
San
that we can
Diego.
look back on in this home series and be happy about. And as a Padres fan, you can't ask for much more. But something that we need to touch on a little bit here is the fact that the bullpen
Yeah, that's
kind of got stressed a little bit and not in a bad way. I was actually shocked to see Schilt deploy the bullpen in the first series back-to-back nights. He threw his
mhm.
7, 8, 9 guys out back-to-back days. I'm like, ooh, this early in the season? That's crazy. But we were playing to win the series and then we ended up sweeping. And they just kind of kept rolling them out there and doing it. I was expecting to see the kid from the minors get in way sooner than 2 days ago. I
Mhm.
mean, they have just been getting after it, stress tested early on and stepping up to the challenge. It's been something to really note and talk about. The bullpen went, I think, what, 19, 21 something innings without
It's
giving up a run?
yeah, really good. I mean, I
Good
have the
recipe.
I have the pitching page up right now. Like, let's not forget about Nick Pavetta's first start as a Padre. Like,
He's a
dang,
dog.
that was a outing. 7 innings, one hit, 4 Ks. Like that
That game, I
work.
was at it. It did you
Oh, you
know that
were.
the Padres
Let's
faced
go.
the minimum number of batters for that game? 27 up, 27 down.
Wow, that's crazy. And how about my boy Randy Vasquez?
Dude,
coming up
continue.
big.
Dealing.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude. I think, man, the movement on some of his
He's
pitches.
got
Again,
Shota.
oh, really? That's the next
Shota.
series, huh? Yeah, we can hop into
Mm-hmm.
that coming up soon here. I want to, yeah, just keep giving some flowers to the bullpen, man. Like all these guys. Matsui looked freaking filthy. I think there was a couple times he
Great.
came in and he like walked a guy. So you're like, oh, here we go again. But then he goes uno dos adios, like three Ks back
Mm-hmm.
to back to back. We're like, all right, that'll work. Alec Jacob had like one rough outing, but he's been really good other than that. Like you mentioned, Cruz had his major league debut. Always love seeing that.
I've got
I
a note
love,
for his debut. I got one
yeah.
note on his debut.
What is it?
Credit to who was catching that day. I think it was Maldonado. The
Mhm.
kid came in. He had some runs to play with. They gave him fastballs away. Whole first at bat was all fastballs away. Low stress, low risk pitches, and it let him ease into the game. He gets his first strikeout. Very cool. Next at bat, fastballs and curveballs. Introduced another pitch,
Yeah.
which was gross. His first curveball was disgusting.
Yeah.
12-6 drop off the table. His fastball in the first at bat didn't top 94. By the time he hits that third batter, he touched 97, 98 and had a changeup and a curveball that both
Just
looked
getting warmed
great.
up, coach.
He was getting warmed up and, credit to the catcher, really
Yeah.
eased him into it and gave him a confidence building first outing. That was
Yeah.
fun to watch.
Yeah, I'd love to
Good for
see
the
too,
kid.
just like when you do have that situation and all the guys in the dugout are up on the railing, like
Hmm.
I love seeing that. That's got to be a really cool uh sensation there. But
They
awesome,
support each
yeah.
other.
We could keep going on, but there's a couple other things I want to talk about kind of throughout the league a little bit because there's just like some hot topics. And I think it's pertinent, I believe, to our squad too. But let's touch real quick on former Padre, former fan favorite, Jurickson Profar, suspended for like a masking agent of what is used to mask a steroid cycle, and which obviously, kind of makes people think a bit like, well, look at last year. Do you- are you super surprised? Not that surprised? Wish you weren't not
I'm sad.
surprised?
I'm sad,
Yeah, I'm
I
kind
was
of,
really
it's just a
wishing
bummer.
Profar,
Like,
yeah, I don't know. It seems to add
oh,
up. First and foremost, like
yeah,
guy has a big
unfortunately.
resurgence. It unfortunately seems like it adds up. But, you know, it is what it is. I've become kind of numb to these things. After Tatis, it was kind of just like nothing's gonna be worse than that to me unless it's Merrill next.
Oh,
But yeah,
that'd be
that'd
killer.
be devastating. But just, it is what it is. He made a mistake. What's cooler to me was that his impact on the players around him when this happened, it didn't seem like many people jumped ship from loving on Profar, most notably Schilt. They asked him a question about it, and he emphatically said, I love Profar before this. I will love him after this.
Yeah.
It doesn't change what I think of the man that I got to know.
Hmm.
And, it speaks to Schilt's character as it pertains to tying back to us. That's the kind of manager that we have. We have a guy who cares and loves for his players and through thick and thin has their back. So, yeah, definitely shined a light on that for him. But
Yeah.
wish Profar the best on dealing with it because I'm sure it can't be easy. And
Hmm.
let's not forget that he was one of the very few that really just stuck by Tatis, even in his own clubhouse
Yeah.
when things got really tough.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of hard, like what to make of it. I guess from just like a trying to back up standpoint, like, I don't know. It's hard, like you said, because he was just such a beloved Padre, I think, especially, right? Like, it's tough. It was a tough one. Like, it was, I don't know. I guess, like we said, in retrospect, you're like, man, yeah, how did he break out so much? And you don't want to believe that that's what it was, but oh, hi, kitty. Another cameo.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
kids
I don't know. It's
coming into
tough.
play.
It's a tough one. And then yeah, I guess it's like
Glad it didn't
he'll
happen in a Padre uniform.
that that's very fair. I wonder. I don't know. We could dive into it. I don't know if I want to get too into the weeds here on this podcast, but it's unfortunate. It is what it is. He'll be back later, but he won't be able to play in the playoffs. I thought that was interesting. I didn't know if that was part of the rule. Like if the Braves make it to the playoffs, he's not allowed to play, which pretty interesting.
I think they're more focused on getting their first win.
That's very fair. Very fair. Um, anyways, again, we could talk about this for a long time, but instead, let's talk about just really briefly. Have you been like diving in all of these torpedo bats that everybody's talking about?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, they're innovative. It's reminiscent of the axe handle, but more extreme for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's kind of well, and then I think we saw they were asking, did you see they were asking Machado about it on like the national broadcast? He's like, what are you talking about?
I love that he was like, "Yeah, send them our way. We could use some more home runs if that's what
Yeah.
they're doing."
I
What's
know.
funny, dude? There was a shot. I think it was. I don't know if it was Sheets, but it was somebody who put a swing on a ball. It might have even been Hayward, but put a swing on a ball. I thought, "Ooh, that ball's gone," and it was short. It didn't make it, and I go and they slow-moed it, and it was just above
Yeah.
the label on the bat. And I go, "Those new bats, that
This
ball's gone." I'm not
dude
even
needs a
kidding. That's
torpedo bat.
exactly what it's all about. Yeah, just need it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get some coming over to San Diego. Yeah, very interesting topic because it's not like I don't know, at first, I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" But it's like, nah, these are totally fair game and I don't know. I don't really have a juicy take on them. I'm just like kind of for it. I know how hard it is to hit and like we're innovating all the other types of equipment out there, like gloves are getting better, cleats are getting better, everything's getting better. Like why don't we do a bat? But anyways, we'll keep an eye out. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on any of these pods start swinging it. Like you said, maybe like a Hayward or something might benefit from one of these. But I just wanted to get your take on seeing all these since it just is so
I'm
much hype
indifferent.
around here.
I'm indifferent.
Yeah. But okay, enough about just general stuff. Let's get back to the boys. Padres got the next two series. They're on the road. They're going to be playing the Cubs in Chicago, and then they're going to play the Athletics, but not in Oakland. Remind you, Sacramento.
Ooh. No, the Cubs are hot, man. The Cubs are hot. You got to be ready when you go in, but I can't imagine them being much more ready than a day off and coming off of a heater. They got to do what they got to do and keep it rolling. But yeah, man, they've got a tough matchup against Shota Imanaga.
hmm
Guy's good.
Yeah, very good. So when is it? This is coming Friday, right? Yeah, Vasquez versus Imanaga on Friday. Yeah, the Cubs got some good players. I mean, like I forgot they picked up Kyle Tucker. Totally forgotten, and the dude's
They haven't
homered.
forgot.
I know, he just like homered in the last four games, super quietly. Suzuki is also another guy. They got Swanson. They got a lot of good players. So another good test for the Padres, and another great test too for Vasquez. See, if he's really got what it takes to kind of stay up with the club, and a great opportunity for him too. So that'll be good. We're just trying to see if there's any other decent matchups here. Pavetta versus Boyd, the lefty, and then Hart
Give
versus
me Pavetta.
Brown. I don't know who Brown is on the Cubs, but that's the other matchup. Wonder if they have the A's ones out yet, and then TBD for the A's series. But but yeah, Chicago will be a good one, and then Athletics. I feel like don't sleep on those guys. I feel like their offense. You and I have talked about it separately. Like they got a good offense, and the ball's seemingly flying in in Sacramento as it starts to heat up. I'm sure even more so. But we talked about it, I think last year with like the Rockies and something else, but like the Padres tended to kind of I don't know lose their footing on some of these teams that shouldn't have really been much of an issue. So let's not have that happen here with the Athletics, please. Because
I
again,
agree.
they got some guys.
Don't sleep on them. They're a younger team that does have skill. Like I think one of the things with them too is that if you look across their first couple of games, they've had some solid starting pitching
hmm
for a couple of the games. Like it's not a White Sox scenario of last year where it's like you can kind of stroll in and take their lunch money. The A's demand a little bit of respect, and
hmm
I have faith in the Padres to stay focused because that's really as players of baseball and people who have gone and played college ball, we know that if you just stroll into a yard, you can get popped. And the counter to that is just staying focused. And I think we have the right team to do that. So I'm excited to see what happens. I hope to not. Let's go 162 and 0. Right now, I'm in the
Oh,
boat of I can't imagine
let's
a
go.
loss. These boys are just doing it. So it's been fun, man. I think there's not a whole lot to talk on. We've talked a whole ton about the good because there's so much of it. let's just keep the ball rolling and hope for a good road series.
Yeah, yeah, just continue, excellent pitching. The bullpen keeps shoving, and then right, like we said, apply pressure, and I think a lot of good things are going to happen. But anyways, yeah, stoked. 7-0. Let's bask in it while
Seven
we
and zero,
still
baby.
can. Just saying, and not to like, I don't know, it's been thrown around a lot, but it was like the last time Padres went undefeated for the first whatever 4 or 5 games was
Or
what 84, which was like a World Series season. So it was just like, okay, all right,
okay, all right.
whatever, fine, great.
I'll sign the terms and conditions on that. I agree.
Sure,
Let's do it.
sure. Yeah, sure. Why not? We'll take it. Why not? But yeah, it's making me extra excited too for some of these Padres Dodgers series coming up here too. It's gonna
Oh my
be
gosh.
we got to get there. We got to see one of the
We got
Dodgers
to.
in 10. We got to get there. But anyways, that's for another time. But yeah, I think that does it for this episode. As always, thanks for joining me, my friend. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We got a lot of great more baseball coming. Keep it rolling, pods. Keep on rolling here with Friarside Chat. Thanks for having us. Leave comments, do a like, whatever. All the things, all the plugs that people say, do all those things. and we'll catch you next time. Later. Go Pods.